Training Module 1. Basic Concepts, Introduction, Gender Concepts to get started. Summary of the module. During this module, you will become educators that are aware of the basic concepts related to gender equality and social gender equality. This will help you not only in the classroom environment, but also in your social and daily lives. At the end of this module, the participants will be able to define the concept of gender, to define the concept of social gender, to explain the differences between gender and social gender, to define the concept of social gender roles, to define the concept of gender stereotypes, to distinguish between gender-based and social gender-based differences, to explain gender equality in education, to define gender and gender identity, to explain the kinds of violence against women, to explain roots of inequality. Unit 1. Sex, Gender and Gender Identity. One simple way to understand gender is to distinguish between sex and gender. It is important to understand each person has sex, gender and gender identity. Sex, gender, gender identity. Differences between sex and gender. Sex, gender. Subunit 2. Gender norms and roles. Gender relations. Across the life cycle, gender norms determine how each society divides work among men and women, boys and girls, according to socially established gender roles or what is considered suitable and valuable for each sex. This phenomenon is called gender division of labor. A. Gender norms refer to societal rules and expectations that dictate the behaviors considered appropriate or desirable for people based on their gender. B. Gender roles include the expected roles and behaviors attached to the genders. C. Gender relations define how people should interact with others and how others relate to them, depending on their attributed gender, and they should be analyzed within the cultural context in which they develop. Unit 3. Gender socialization. Gender socializations happens when different expectations are set out for males and females starting from early age. Gender socialization is the process by which we learn our culture's gender-related rules, norms, and expectations. What are agents of gender socialization? Parents, teachers, peers, media. Subunit 4. Gender equality versus gender equity. Gender equality and gender equity are related terms but have different meanings. While the words sound similar, the definitions and practical usage are different. Equality between women and men, gender equality. Gender equality, gender equity. Subunit 5. What are the social causes of gender inequality? 10 causes of gender inequality. 1. Uneven access to education. 2. Lack of employment equality. 3. Job segregation. 4. Lack of legal protections. 5. Lack of bodily autonomy. 10 causes of gender inequality. 6. Poor medical care. 7. Lack of religious freedom. 8. Lack of political representation. 9. Racism. 10. Societal mindsets. Subunit 6. Gender equality in education. 6 barriers to girls' education. Poverty. Even if education is free, the cost of uniforms and/or supplies can make education inaccessible. Lack of safe, private, girls-only latrines. Stigma and other factors mean 1 in 10 girls in Africa miss school during their periods. Gender inequality. Girls are often kept home from school to help with family care and housework. Child marriage and early pregnancy. Child brides are almost always forced to drop out of school. Violence. Once arriving to school, girls may face various forms of violence at the hands of teachers, peers, and other people in the school environment. If parents find out school isn't safe for their daughters, they may remove them from school. Long distance to school. Girls are at an increased risk of experiencing violence and harassment. Subunit 7. Gender stereotypes. A gender stereotype is a generalized view or preconception about attributes or characteristics or the roles that are or ought to be possessed by or performed by women and men. A gender stereotype is harmful when it limits women's and men's capacity to develop their personal abilities, pursue their professional careers, and/or make choices about their lives. Whether overtly hostile, such as women are irrational, or seemingly benign, women are nurturing, harmful stereotypes perpetuate inequalities. For example, the traditional view of women as caregivers means that childcare responsibilities often fall exclusively on women. Subunit 8. Gender-based discrimination. What is gender discrimination? Gender discrimination is any unequal treatment, including privilege and priority, on the basis of gender. What is gender inequality? Gender inequality is discrimination on the basis of sex or gender, causing one sex or gender to be routinely privileged or prioritized over another. Is gender discrimination against the law? Gender discrimination is prohibited under almost every human rights treaty. This includes international laws providing for equal gender rights between men and women, as well as those specifically dedicated to the realization of women's rights, such as the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, considered the International Bill of Rights for Women. Erasmus+. This project has been funded with support from the European Commission. This publication reflects the views only of the author, and the Commission cannot be held responsible for any use which may be made of the information contained therein.